Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another random review. Today's random review comes from 2016, which means it's a modern film, and this is Complete Unknown, starring Rachel Weisz, Michael Shannon, Kathy Bates and Danny Glover. Have a little scene with Shannon and Weisz. This is co-written and directed by Joshua Marston, who's an American filmmaker that I wasn't familiar with, but he has made Maria Full of Grace in 2004, which is about a pregnant Colombian teenager who becomes a drug mule. In 2011 he made Forgiveness of Blood, which is actually in the Criterion collection, about a brother and sister whose dad is accused of murder. In 2018 he made Come Sunday, starring the best actor of his generation, Chiwetel Ejiofor, about a preacher who preaches that there's no hell, and that co-stars Danny Glover as well as Martin Sheen. He's also done TV work, Flesh and Bone and Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem that Come Sunday is available in physical media, but Forgiveness of Blood, as I said, is in Criterion DVD, and Maria Full of Grace has a Blu-ray release. Holy moly. So Complete Unknown is one of those little films that is more for like actors' resumes rather than, you know, it's going to win Oscars or it's going to be a blockbuster success. This is very much a character piece, and it gives Rachel Weisz a wonderful role that all actors would pretty much kill for and probably have killed for. It's Hollywood after all. But warning, at the start of the film you don't really know what's going on, and you actually have to wait until it's unfolded what's actually going on. Everything's not explained in the first 5 minutes, which obviously might come as a shock to modern audiences. So we see Rachel Weisz in various hairstyles in various places, but she comes across as one of those people who's done everything and knows about everything. And then it kind of, we see her in the same cafeteria as Michael Shannon and a colleague, and she kind of befriends this colleague, and she ends up being invited to Michael Shannon's birthday party at his own house, strange enough, with his wife and his fairly pretentious friends. Michael Shannon and his colleague kind of works, it's hard to describe, kind of in an office where they try and get legislation passed relating to agriculture, and they just kind of try and put information or phrases into reports to try and get things passed. It's not a particularly fulfilling job for him, and his wife, that's not set in California, but his wife has won a place to do some education in California, and they're kind of undecided about whether they'll both go or whether she'll just go. And entering into this is Rachel Weisz, who immediately kind of wins the party over with all her knowledge. She's talking about how she's part of a group who's discovered a new North American frog, and she has a recording of the frog that just wows everybody. But you can tell Michael Shannon is a bit off put by her and kind of puts little needles aimed at her in the conversation and seems a little bit suspicious about her, how she just seems to have done everything and experienced everything and been around the world. And then in a quiet moment of the evening, both Shannon and Weisz are alone, and it turns out that they knew each other 15 years ago, and Weisz just disappeared. And the rest of the film is the pair of them, Shannon trying to understand what happened to Weisz, and Weisz just kind of explaining the way she lives her life. Again, they come across Kathy Bates and Danny Glover, who are a couple, and there's a wonderful little scene between them. Again, as you can tell, this is a character heavy film, so this will be why it's completely under the radar, disappeared and forgotten about. But again, it's one of those performances, or one of those roles that actors absolutely love. It's like playing a schizophrenic and getting to do multiple personalities. It's sort of similar without the medical stuff. Michael Shannon, as usual, plays a weirdo, and the only way that Michael Shannon can. I think I've yet to see Michael Shannon in a film where he plays somebody normal without doing Michael Shannonisms, which is wonderfully enjoyable. Rachel Weisz obviously was kind of exploded onto the scene with The Mummy, and she can kind of do blockbusters and Bourne films, but in the same way but other actors have kind of went more of the smaller film, the more art house film, if you like, the more US independent film. She's a little bit like Kristen Scott Thomas, who obviously was like an English patient and stuff like that, but has kind of moved into French art house cinema. And really, films like Complete Unknown, there's a whole undercurrent of smaller American character-based films that are actually probably the strength of American cinema now. Obviously, the blockbuster has completely went overboard and is a massive bloated monster, basically. It's almost like the way kind of pomp rock and cock rock went in the 70s, and then punk came along and kind of killed it off and freshened it up. Not that small US independent films that are character based is going to kill off the blockbuster, but the blockbuster has obviously killed itself off, and the studio heads have killed it off. But again, if you just say, well, all American cinema is terrible, I think you're doing a disservice to the undercurrent, to all these little projects that get made for a couple of $1 million and are really well acted and character driven. Again, there's no magic answer, there's no revelatory ending in this film, but it is, I found it really engrossing. Obviously the two actors really help drive it, and ever since Rachel Weisz was in Lanthimos's Lobster, I always keep an eye on her because she does do a lot more interesting things than she used to do in her blockbuster days. So it's a really good little film. I don't know whether it's upscaling on the 4K player, but the DVD looks really good. It looks like a Blu-ray. So I would highly recommend it. I mean, you can pick it up for next to nothing. So if you like kind of character-based films that are kind of about how we look at each other and the people that we meet, and the stories that we tell each other, are they actually true or not, or are you just making them up to sound more interesting? You know, if I said that I spent time in India as a cobra wrangler for 18 months in the 1990s, you know, would you believe me? It's that sort of thing, and the people that you meet, are their stories actually real, or are they just making the whole thing up, or are they just making their whole lives up just to sound more interesting? So I'm away to climb the Himalayas. So thanks very much for watching. Please let me know if you've seen Complete Unknown, not to be mistaken with A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan, Timothy Chalamet film, and let me know what you think of it. So this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films saying farewell